The Budget Committee of the Vigo County Council is again in meeting. And Commissioner Chris Schweitzer at the helm. And what shall we be talking about, Mrs. Loudermilk? And you're just the guy with the questions.
So what we had on that, we moved some items around stuff, and I think the main question is, I know Council earns some yesterday, but it's $150,000, and it was free contractual service $1,000. And so they just wanted to expand on that because there was some confusion about plans, because there was a plan that had to do financial plan, then there was a plan to do, like, talk about maybe the 5-year plan, and I was wondering too, is, and then somebody said maybe it had something to do with the expected bridges, or was any of this have to do with a plan that could be used for the cover act?
No, none of that. So this plan specifically, this $150,000, has a lot to do with Larry, which is why I had him come in here today. This is strictly a capital improvement plan for our bridges, our buildings, our roads, our ditches, and our infrastructure. Okay, so what that service will do is provide us some type of plan moving forward. We could certainly use that money that we've been given for this plan, not to pay for it, but the ideas that come from this plan or derive from this plan, we could use that money for.
And how they, my other question, I appreciate that.
Mic on, sorry. Did it also, how did they extrapolate the $150,000 amount?
Larry, you want to talk about that?
Is that was the point? Yeah.
You want to say?
Bridges, buildings, roads,
Yeah.
water and sewer infrastructure, ditches.
And was that Baker Tilly that was conducting this?
No, it's not Baker Tilly.
Oh, this was not a Baker
No.
Tilly, because I saw a financial plan that had Baker Tilly on it.
Sure. So some of the discrepancies, sorry, I call it Larry Robbins, Vigo County Engineer. Sorry. The financial plan is kind of separate from this. The financial plan takes, the ideas that come from the capital improvement plan, and they put them in there and tell you how you're going to fund it. So what mechanisms you're going to need to do, you need to break it down into phases, how you need to do that. Capital improvement plan as a whole is something that lists all those capital assets, just like Chris mentioned, and put those all into one plan and say, and prioritize those. What should we be working on? What's going on? We've got potentially a casino coming in. We've got, a convention center going in. We've got a new jail now in places. We've got traffic going in places that it hadn't gone before. So is there something that we need to be doing as a community to make sure that everything that we're doing is communicating and talking to each other? So the left hand knows what the right hand's doing. We're not sacrificing efficiencies and costing the taxpayers more money by doing things that we could have done together or coincided with other departments or even the city or anybody else. So, but it'll help identify all of those capital projects and just identify them and establish costs associated with them and rank those on what do we need to be doing first and what do we need to do on, it's just kind of a step-by-step basis on these are the projects that you need to be focused on, this is what you need to be doing.
So in other words, you're just coordinating all of your projects.
Correct. So rather than just me or the commissioners saying, hey, this is what we need to do. Well, why? Because we think it's the right thing. Okay. This is going to be a plan that's going to take public input. It's going to take input from the commissioners, myself, the council, the public, any other entity that wants to be a part of that, and coordinate all that and put that all together and say, these are the things that are identified by your community that you guys want to focus on.
And who is if it's not Baker Tilly, who is are they?
Generally speaking, it's usually
contract?
an engineering firm that will do those. They'll work very closely with
Engineering
an
firm.
entity, Baker Tilly or some financial entity that would that would then put all the, the money together and figure out how to phase it and how to break it down. But it's usually an engineering firm. That 150,000 was based on a rough estimate that I got from a firm that did a plan for Vandenberg County.
Okay, great.
Yes. Yep.
The other
It should, absolutely. So we'll work with those entities as well. Work with EDC on, hey, what's out there? What do we need? What do we need to be doing to market ourselves? You know what I mean, to other, and, some of that has to do with the industrial park, some of that doesn't. You know what I mean? If it's outside the industrial park, we don't have that infrastructure available to have a business come in. So if it's not there, where's it gonna be? Can we sustain it with traffic, with utilities, with anything else? Can we get it there? So.
Okay. I think that takes care of it for me. Sorry, I just turned on my mic.
Go ahead and ask what question you had on the other one that we had on the list of
Does Vicky want to ask that, or do you want me to?
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, thanks.
All right.
For community development funds, something we would like to see, and I guess this comes from towards all the commissioners, is we understand the need for it, but also having more kind of dialogue, I guess you could say, with us. One of the things, I think yesterday you told us which ones you gave to in this last year, but do you foresee any specific agencies or organizations in the upcoming year, or is there any kind of list or anything that you can give to us? We would like, I guess, more open dialogue back and forth with us since we've managed that.
Absolutely. I think this kind of started with Brad and Judy and Brendan, or maybe even Brad, Judy, and John Marvel. But as this new group came in, we want to do it more. We just don't know how to get there yet, if that makes sense. So including you guys, and that would be fine. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic as far as I'm concerned. We talked about developing the form. Mike and I talked about that earlier. We don't know if that's a good idea or not. Still talking about that. Then anything that's included with the website design. I mean, we want to have a clear, concise way for these entities to be able to contact us, talk to us, understand whatever frustration or problem they're having, and go that route. But we also don't want to be a free-for-all for just certain little bitty things that come to us for some cash. So, but I want to digress back to capital improvement plan. You had mentioned, sorry, you had mentioned Baker Tilly. A lot of times when we have to bond something, they ask if we have a capital improvement plan. We have never had one.
Yeah, the auditor
So
shared it with,
this
I
was
think it's
kinda-
important we have
yeah.
that, but I
This
just didn't
is-
know who was conducting.
Yeah, sure.
And when I asked about it yesterday, they shared a Baker Tilly study with me, a proposal,
Mm-hmm.
but it was the financial I found out later. So I'm just trying to get, I think the word capital plan gets used a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And so there
Capital
was the
Improvement Board, which is a
confusing.
different entity from the county. I mean, it's a struggle.
And that's all we were trying to do. And so that, that satisfies my questions on that one. And I think on the community service one, I agree with, and I like the idea that you guys have some kind of form and criteria, because in an absence of a form and criteria and us funding something without knowing what we're funding, I think it makes us look irresponsible.
It's unjustifiable.
So that's the only reason that we're asking for that, so we have some kind of a funding. And there's a couple of different ways we could look at that. Either we don't fund it, and then you guys come and ask for it as a, appropriation, but then we don't want it to we understand the timeliness of it. I think you guys did a good job of explaining that and the history of it, that if there's some money there and it's to be used in a more timely fashion than if you were to come to the board, I think that was a good explanation.
Yeah.
But we still just need to understand, and if you guys could share a list ahead of time, I think it would make us more comfortable to fund it.
Yeah.
Is that-
Yeah. I think at this point, we've been kind of selfish with it because we absolutely want to help that one person or group that's in need, and then at the end of the year, not have anything to give. So you guys want to do the extra 100,000? Cool. If you don't, that's okay. We'll make it work.
Mr. Commissioner, I would say, as a government entity that takes care of the concrete and brick part of the community. I kind of think that we need to be thinking in those terms. I'm a person who I do give a lot of resources to charitable groups and give time and so forth, really beyond my ability to do it, and have to kick myself in the pants to make myself stop. But I think we need to concentrate on giving our resources to taking care of, our buildings and roads and bridges and ditches and those sorts of things. And I think we need to be very prudent about putting money into, and I'm going to sound like Simon Legree on
I can't
this
wait.
one. I know, yeah. Ooh, you're going to wind your mustache up on this. Be very choosy about the places you put those resources. I think if it develops a community, that's the perfect place for it. And I know that we have a lot of need in the community, and particularly at this time. I guess that's what I'm saying,
Sure.
and I know you understand
Yeah,
that.
I mean, that's why we haven't spent much of it,
Yeah.
because we're waiting for that right opportunity to do so.
And I think even if there's a specific, rather than just like giving to an organization directly, but if like the more clarity there is, like if you know that you're giving it to, I'm just gonna pick, what is it, Mana for, Seven. So if you give that specifically and you know that it's for, helping with additional bedding, like at the homeless shelter, because I think they were the ones that did the winter shelters, or was that Reach?
That was
I know
Reach, yeah.
Reach.
Yeah.
But if it's something really specific like that, too, it again gives a little bit more of that clarity. No, we're not trying to, tie things up. It's just kind of puts that communication
So
to us too.
if we do, and I'm happy to involve you, would you just want us to come to a regular council meeting and during the
Or even-
elected official time?
We said
just-
even emailing it, just communicating us so we're aware of it. And I just think that helps. In a sense, I mean, the more that you guys can develop something that's a criteria, I think that's gonna help you guys too, because then it's gonna give you something, it's that part of it too.
Well, I also like having a paper trail.
Yeah.
Because it's not cool for, a group to just come to the commissioner's office and call and say, hey, Mike, you want to give these guys $1,500?
Yeah.
We don't have any way to justify that. So a paper trail is
Yeah,
important.
and it's a work in progress, but I think with us, being the financial part of it, keeping us in the loop or what you guys are developing, I think it's a good
And
one.
we always
You
appreciate your
guys have all
blessing.
been on both sides of it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some addition to one of those programs, Wabash Valley Fair Association, the county that was involved with the Catholic Charities food giveaway, Talks Away Day is handled there. Sheriff, city police go down there and do their dog training inside as well as outside. Several, always available, and that's why, one of the reasons I feel like that it's a community asset. So that, and Larry had come to the council, I think, a couple of years with this plan, and there's no guarantee on it that it's going to work. I mean, this is what we do anyway. We're talking about needs and funding those needs. And I don't know. We were talking about it early this year, and finally it made some sense to me that perhaps it'd give us some direction that we won't have to go back and forth on it. We've got some direction. This is identified. We're going to move this from number 2 to, we're going to move this up the list, or we're going to move this down the list, and what have you. But it's been on the list. How about that? Something that came up, our building maintenance. We know, just need our building maintenance needs a little help some days. They know what needs to be done, but they don't always budget for it. And if we could get some clarity, and I think that the dust's going to settle on this jail situation, because none of us know what the expense of that old one's going to be. But I think it can add some clarity. So.
Mike, I think you do make a good point about the fairgrounds being a facility, that's convenient and very usable for those types of projects. Right, always available and free of charge. So that's a point well taken. Anything else?
Unless you guys have a question for us.
And Larry, I want to say too, since you've been on board, things are rolling right along. You're a great hire. They're probably paying you way too much, though. You're really a super hire. That was great. I know the mayor's not happy about it, but that's just tough toenails as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I bring him a cookie every day or something.
Yeah,
because
well, something like that.
I go
yeah.
to commissioner district meetings and they say, if Larry ever quits, we're gonna come get him.
Oh,
So,
well, he's not quitting, so
No.
just tell him.
yeah, he's an incredible asset.
Mm-hmm. Thanks so much, guys. Whitey? I think so.
We have
Is there anything else we need to look at on that, Cheryl?
approve the edit.
On the amount.
Yep. Well, I would move that we fund $150,000 on the contractual services.
For a second?
Second, sorry. My caffeine
All in
hasn't kicked in.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Here you go, Marie, you're up.
You're gonna make me do that. So for edit 341, community development, move to keep at the level of 100,000 for the upcoming budget.
Now, second.
Did we talk about a list?
Yeah, we can qualify that. They said they're going to communicate, but if you want to have it in a list and prior, we can always qualify it. I know they came in person, and
I think the issue is for the upcoming budget year, they don't know the needs yet. But
yeah,
for
that's
the-
what I got out of
for-
it, so I was
Okay.
willing
Yeah.
to give them
All
a,
in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries.
yep. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Did you get did I need to say which one on which item? Now, there was a contractual service, it was 33300. Okay, I should have clarified that.
Okay, got it.
I thought it was the only one that we hadn't done yet, so that's why I said it.
I think so.
Yeah, you have it all in there correctly now, right?
Yeah, because we shifted and.
Wow, that looks like we really killed them, didn't it? But we didn't. We moved some of it, that's why, right?
What was that figure again?
It's right there.
It's right there on there.
4,773.
176. Thank you.
I think part of that was that,
400,000.
well, there was the million.
And the million, yeah, there was 750,000 cut and 400,000
Million here and a
moved.
million there. That's pretty good.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's $2,500, yeah.
It's the Christmas lights.
I would make a motion that we approve the amended 11-12 edit budget.
And I will second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I don't, how, we probably spent more time on that one than any of them so far.
Oh, but you've still got time for your other ones. It's
We're
gonna
ready to
happen.
roll. Throw
Keep
one
'em
on the
coming.
floor.
And of course, this is just a recommendation, and it's up to the full council.
Correct.
Okay, so we
Yes.
were on,
So don't get to feeling smug like you
Yeah,
did
I'm not feeling
anything.
smug, I'm just saying we're making a recommendation.
That's what we were
Yep, we were on
talking
that.
about.
Yeah, I gotta get that figured out.
But do you still want us to see about gathering information on the differences between Harrison and county?
I don't, I mean, if anybody does, they can tell you.
What was it?
The what? So there you are. Thanks for checking that.
I would be in favor of a discussion point that we lump that in to the end when we talk about all of
Officials,
it.
it's not a bad idea. Then we can go back to it. Let's go back to it,
Is that
okay?
fair?
It makes sense.
Okay.
that's emergency management, so
This is-
Dr. Hoineke, yeah.
Too bad Mike Morris is not here. He'd have a heart attack.
We have gotten in the past where some of them have had a lot of hours banked and left. And then that tends to be a big
Big payout.
payout. You know, she normally does come in and has explained to us quite a few times that how much overtime that they seem to have. So they do have, from what we see and get told, they get banked quite a few hours.
So they're just banking them kind of as almost like
And they'll
comp
take 'em
time?
time,
or-
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But this would actually in turn
But
pay
we've
them?
had people leave, and what I want to say is, this time could have been banked over a few years, and when we pay out at current
A
rate.
lot, yeah.
But, and we did have one maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now, that had a big payout. And I do know that the other two have now
Accumulated quite a bit.
accumulated quite a bit, so.
Is that the, and I looked over the employee handbook, and I'm, of course, not looking to do that myself at all, but,
You won't live long enough
yeah,
now.
they, thank you. Vote of confidence there. They, but is it not that a lot of organizations or entities have it to where you have to use it and only can roll
A
so
certain
much?
period of time, yeah.
You can only roll so much annually? This organization does not have that? Is that what I'm understanding?
It was in the handbook, you had to use it within the same pay period.
Yeah.
Usually it's on a fiscal year arrangement.
Yeah, and I understand that, but I also understand the difference in some departments and what they do,
They
that
might-
is sometimes quite difficult to get done.
Follow their own business.
Well, because that's what I was thinking about this, or this, is this the same one that also requested a vehicle? And so we haven't addressed that yet in the,
General fund, correct.
oh, it's general fund, okay.
I thought we did yesterday.
I didn't think, we did 911, but I
Oh,
don't think we
okay.
did emergency
You've not
management.
done emergency management.
If I remember right, so, I mean, I don't have a hard, fast opinion on this, and I'm be willing to have input.
Can I ask a quick question? So, it's really just the two deputy directors, because the director is exempt, correct? Is that true?
Jim, is Heineke exempt
We've
from
got
accumulating
two different-
overtime hours? She is, isn't she? I would think.
On-site management positions are exempt. on the-
Well, some, they're not eligible for,
Overtime.
I mean, huh? Pardon? Okay, so she's not eligible, so it's for 2 employees, but, which I don't think they make the same amount of money, the 2 deputy director, or whatever their titles are. But even if you look at the how many hours is that? Approximately. Is it even,
The 75.
so if you're talking about 2 people who are eligible for it, and depending on the number of hours it is, I don't know how much they normally, accrue in comp time in a year. Is that? Yeah, I know, but I guess my question is it even sufficient? I mean, it's better than what it was, but does it still solve the problem? Well, but I think they only get a certain amount of. I don't know, I mean,
It's a set amount.
they get a set amount for their reimbursement, and I think you're supposed to turn your mic on, Jim.
Oh. So she's talking, I'm like, I think mine's on.
I mean, it's determined that they get 55,000 or 65,000, it's not like the public defender where you spent this much and you get 40%. That's my understanding.
Yeah, it's just a certain amount of their wages. She just makes it
I do think
clear
that,
when she talks that we do get some reimbursement.
I don't know if they have a FEMA event, maybe they get reimbursed for that. If it's something that's
That's probably true.
a disaster that they're getting FEMA money, they may get reimbursed that way, but it's not in their normal state
FEMA
reimbursement
things, yeah.
or whatever it is, state funding, state grant, whatever you want to call it. It's not in that. But I guess that was my question, if we can kind of maybe get with them and see if they can tell us an average of what they get. Is 7,500 good enough? Is it sufficient?
Because if it's 7,500, it takes their overtime rate is $50, that's, we're talking $125 an hour. It's not that,
Not what they're,
if the rate's $30 an hour, you still pay less than 200.
So if they go over that 7,500, can she come back and we can appropriate it?
But if we don't have any language that says they can go over, take over.
Do we have
That's a
authority
policy
to?
thing. You don't write policy.
I know I don't write policy, but I'd like to understand policy. That's all I'm saying is, so if we don't understand the policy and we think we're trying to fix the
How can
problem
we fix
that
it?
Alyssa said, we may just be adding to the problem. May just be giving more options. I could take the overtime
It's
or I
my
could be late.
Opinion, in some departments, you would be better off to actually giving them overtime pay.
Because because it's short. Yeah, that's exactly what I don't know. And that's why I said I didn't have really opinion, because I don't have any knowledge to base.
normally what happens if they have an appropriation for extra help, which is for part-time, is for overtime, if they have an appropriation, a lot of them will pay out overtime, as long as they are non-exempt. Now, if they don't have an appropriation, they have to do comp time because they don't have the ability to pay overtime. That's normally how it's handled. Now, if by chance they have a vacant position and they have some, then they can pay overtime then, but assuming it's a full boat, then there's nothing they can do if they don't have an appropriation. But I guess my thing was, if you're looking at fixing it, I would get the information on what it really takes to fix it.
Seems reasonable.
I mean, they've been throwing out that same amount, $7,500 for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, maybe longer
It
than
just
that.
hasn't ever been approved, or?
No. So, I mean,
That's good to know too, the history on it, it's like what we asked.
so, so you would think that as pay increases over the year, they would have bumped that up, accordingly, but now, it's a number,
The spreadsheets are, if you don't change it, they stay up back.
Mm-hmm.
Can we, I mean, this is something with, I mean, it seems to me like with the way weather phenomena have been, we need to figure out how to address this department and be sure we've got people in place that'll be able to work and get, overtime and get part-time, and anybody that we need to have them there. How can we find the answer to this, Cheryl? Do you know? Or Melissa, Jim, anybody?
I think you get a hold of emergency management and ask them for accumulated comp time, maybe historically over the last 2 or 3 years, per individual. Go by that. That's the only thing you really have to go by.
Well, the interesting thing about emergency management, the reason how comp time probably works is if there's no emergency, staffing can. So maybe that's how it is, cost of pay. Or put an overtime factor, paid it, and then they're going to want it. But they did have it in the request, as you said.
Do you want me to text Doreen and ask her,
Oh, it says
That-
50
or Dr.
Or you can,
Ranky?
you can do that, or I can add it to my list, so whichever you want to do.
Todd's looking right now, he found something on their
It
sheet.
says here, if you take, it says that it was 158 hours of comp time owed at SB reimbursement at overtime rate. That's 47 hours. Or $47 an hour, 47.46 is the overtime rate. That by, the rate was $31.64. Because that's, what that is that was the 2020 budget. It said that there was overtime ordinance. One staff, it says just one staff member has comp time owed at S&P.
$115. And here's the other thing, which makes it a little bit different, because I'm assuming they work a 35-hour week, so they have to have 5 hours of straight time, and then anything over that 5 hours would be time for that.
That's
Because, which, like the sheriff and the highway, they work 40-hour week. I think the EMA's 35.
Let's make a note to come back to this one.
yeah.
Log on.
You got anything?
Okay.
No, that's why I was asking if we could come back if we run out, but
You get a hold of her and see.
If you need a place to put
Thanks.
money, there you go.
Brenda's gonna get a hold of Hoynicke and see what she can find out about it. Okay, we'll come back to that.
The next would be, what I put on there for you is the clerk's reclassification.
Oh, Carl
That's-
Rymany,
That says that's the request of classification made, right?
yes.
Correct. To go from, was it Ahmed B,
We
Need
can't
a
do that.
C and C plus, and C plus plus.
ma'am, I actually now have finding more information, as it's very similar to the building inspector.
No, we don't have the authority.
Right thing to do. I do think that there is a need for evaluation of that department, the vacancies that's created from it. I'm sure something that the department has been.
We did do the reevaluation for the clerk.
Yeah, the WIS did. Yeah. And, so, you know, we have seen that study as well. You're right in that there was a study on it. So, at this time, I think, even as bad as I'd like to do something on it, not to be a hypocrite, say that,
Who said you're not a hypocrite?
I try not. It's like being civil. I am. I just try not. And, that, I don't think if we look at can't look at it any different than we view, or as Brenda brought up, is the WIS did have would not be a reclassification.
Not at this time.
Yeah, at this time. I think it needs to be studied. And I did tell them at a meeting that I thought the budget was the appropriate place to look. I think that's what we're doing, looking at the whole of it.
Well, and my concern is we have meeting, last week, we have a meeting this week about doing kind of a reboot and look at the whole system. And for us to jump ahead of that, I think for any of these classifications, things like that, that has to be done, whether it be WIS, whether it be Baker Tilly, that's in their corner. And look at the tools and the resources that come from that, just for clarification, and go from there. Not saying that we can't look at things across the board, and not saying that we're dropping a look at it, but I think there's a process to go through.
In that process, I hope that we would include our own HR as well.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion.
I will make a motion that we don't act on that at this time.
And I will second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, next.
Group homes.
So this is the one where we were talking about the shifting of some of her workers and then putting it towards the nurse and all that. It just was a little more confusing to look at on our end.
It was a
So-
little confusing to us.
So they want to hire a specialist, but want to minimize a secretarial? And the net factor on that is still an increase? No?
Decrease. Well,
is-
I don't know
it-
what's the contractual services amount for that?
She only increased it because she only wanted, 10 hours a month?
Yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't very much, but.
Oh, for the nurse.
We clarified with them last night, so Julian has an email from her,
I did.
from Sheila, exactly
Okay.
what she was trying to ask for.
So the contractual services is not in here.
So that leaves us with a surplus of 41. Is that right? 41,457.
Yeah, what was it? though? She's-
41's what you're reducing, but they're asking for 16,000 for your increase for your A's, and I don't know what it is for
So
the
that leaves
contractual
it-
service. I mean, it's 10 hours a month, but
Well, what did Kim say that line item was on what she really?
So do you subtract
Is
those
it
two, you get
service agreement?
25,000?
professional services, 14,000.
Well, we have professional services and we have physician fees.
I'm thinking that would, I don't
We
know.
were kind of laughing.
I don't
because
think it's $425.
We
So
just couldn't get yeah, but this is what we deal with.
I would guess it's 14,000.
I'm assuming it's in the professional services.
Well, I bet you it's 10 because they already asked,
Right.
already had 4.
And my guess is it's 10,000, and because they had 4,000, and she's added that to the professional
So,
fees. And from what I'm reading, I think that's what she was doing.
Can somebody explain that to us?
So it's about $83 an hour if she works 10 hours.
What is a
Well,
wage?
needs fund for part-time employee licensed nurse at $35 an hour. Estimating 13 hours a month
Oh, it's 13.
equals 5460. Now, well, that's what's in her.
Oh, I was going by the $10,000 divided by 12
Right.
months at 10 hours.
I
So-
don't have a number yet.
That's where she put the, is in that professional, professional services.
So,
So she put the nurse, she requested that amount in that line
What's she
item.
requesting?
She's requesting the nurse,
We got that.
And
six-
it was an increase of $10,000.
and an increase of $10,000 into professional services.
okay.
And that's it.
And then then they're terminating a part-time secretary,
Then
which
she
it,
would reduce a part-time secretary,
and which is a savings of,
Reduce or terminate?
or sorry, full-time secretary, which is the savings of the 34,000 current comp right there,
right there.
down on your sheet.
Mm-hmm,
I see that.
okay.
And then she wanted to increase the youth care specialist, from 37,800 to 40,000, which there's your difference of 16,008,420 for a total. That's subtotal FICA per. So in other words, let's see.
A savings of
Added 10.
24,000 minus
Then
10.
she subtracted 40 and add back, say, still saving. But
So that's it.
About 50,000.
15 or 50?
If it's over 41, 457.
So around 14,000
So,
overall savings.
Okay, we gotta put this in a motion.
well, here's, the other thing, to be consistent, how are you going to address increasing that rate?
That's what I was gonna ask.
How are we gonna do what?
How do you want to address increasing that rate? I mean, are you gonna be
For
consistent?
the nurse or for?
No, for the
No.
specialist.
The nurse is a contractual services, you guys don't set that rate.
Right.
You approve a contract appropriation, that's it.
But again, she's like the other ones, she's asking you to increase that rate.
She's asking you to increase the rate. They're not necessarily putting a title of reclassification on it,
Right.
but in the end, that's what they're wanting.
Well, we're gonna have the same thing in the drug court too, right?
Yes. And
What, where was it that we did stipends, like for additional pay? Was that in
That's
juvenile
juvenile
court?
court, but they're taking on,
Additional duties and stuff?
I would suggest if you start stipends, you better.
So what, I'm trying to think, so were they just youth care? Or changing it to specialist?
No, they're
they are
youth care specialists,
Uh-huh.
and they're gonna be youth care specialists.
But this was a nurse. No, it's
No,
just.
that's separate.
That's separate,
Separate.
okay, separate. The nurse is contractual, as you said.
It's just not as clear that they're asking for that
Mhm.
pay raise.
That's at 16,000.
As much as I hate it, we need to stay consistent.
Mm-hmm. It's a hard thing to do.
Let me ask, when they do reevaluate, I mean, I guess we're gonna be 6 months and talking, that's how long it usually takes. Last time they did that, did they do any retro pay or anything like that, back pay?
No, they started
January. But it wouldn't be January, it wouldn't be January 2022, because we're too close, so it'd be 23.
because that would be, who would have, as it was done last time, the study came in, there was a recommendation, worked on that, put it in place for the following year's budget. Didn't go, put it in a current. That would be a nightmare for the auditor.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing, in her explanation, she's bringing up the essential employee status during the COVID for these workers. Like a few other departments, we've been running full speed under essential employee status since the pandemic began. I had staff having to perform unexpected duties to include teaching. Our campus was closed to families, visits, and in-person therapy for over a year. Our direct care workers live in with the youth in care. Youth displayed increased aggression and/or extreme behavioral disruptions. Demand for our staff to perform was intense. I share that because I want you to know how amazing workers are. They have fewer referrals for care as a result of FFPSA. The kids that do get referred have a much higher acuity, often dual diagnosis, extreme behaviors. I ask more and more of these staff members. They are working in a more volatile environment. Assault on staff has increased. Verbal aggression makes the environment more difficult to work in.
Yeah, she did an excellent job with presentation.
I feel like these positions are so different. And unfortunately, I mean, well, I'm trying to be hopeful that this year's better. Our rates, and we just saw a couple school corporations in the state of Indiana go remote and shut down for a couple weeks, one fairly close to here. I worry about the demands, extra hours and things that they're gonna need there.
We're gonna come back to this one. I mean, we can't sit here just for nothing, so, okay.
Paying bonus pay for essential employees is another legitimate ARP expense if they ever,
And when are we able to start doing things like that?
as soon as we can get the commissioners to put together a plan and you appropriate it.
Okay, that's something to keep in the back burner. Because I think that's one that's directly impacted. I mean, just the extra demands that they're
I
having.
don't know what is, there's it's like $25 or $30 an hour for bonus pay you can give them, something like that.
Okay.
Can't remember what it is.
Okay.
What about what, Judy? We're
That's
gonna
a
come back to it,
But that's
because we
a
can't, I don't
contractual
want to
term.
sit here and
Spin
go
wheels.
nuts.
Maria, did the school corporation,
Huh?
I was gonna ask Maria, did the school corporation give out at the end of last year, like a stipend or bonus?
No, like $500.
We did, we received, I can't remember the funding, we got actually a couple, one of it had to do with our, like, testing, and that was the beginning of the year. But yeah, at the end of the year, we did get a bonus, now that you're, yeah, like an essential,
I was thinking that I seen
Yeah.
that on the, but
yeah.
okay.
It's all, last year's blur to
Yeah.
me. But yeah, I do think that was a part of it, and I think it went across the board, like at our schools, like for all staff. Because of the contact, I mean, we have as much as this, like cafeteria, custodial, everywhere, secretarial. can verify that, but I think you're right. So that's something to keep in mind for sure.
Next thing I had down was highway.
In the highway, they're just requesting part-time, is that correct? Because is that what it says, seasonal for part-time?
Didn't we do this a few years ago, Melissa?
Pardon me?
Didn't we do this a few years ago under Dan, and didn't they come in and we gave them some seasonal,
Well, they used to have,
if I remember right, they came,
they had another name for them, it wasn't seasonal.
yeah, but they had,
Summer
Dan
workers.
and Kathy were still here. Yeah.
Yeah, they had some funny name for it, other hands or something
Yeah.
hands.
This is Larry, correct? That was just in here.
Now, I don't know if this is gonna be the typical seasonal, because like, there are seasonal employees that, as far as unemployment, things like that, it qualifies differently. And you have to get approval for those, and I think we're only allowed so many, is that not correct? There's some sort of stipulation on how many our organization can have.
I don't know about our organization, but there was an hour amount.
Well, because I know that there was
There is a
another one that
stipulation.
wanted them, and we didn't have any more slots available or
So
something,
we
I don't
probably
remember
need
now
to
who
check
it
with
was.
Kara to see how many.
So I don't know if it's truly seasonal.
Highway.
I mean, I think you might be better off to call it extra help. Well, seasonal,
know.
they can't get unemployment
Right.
because, well, they might now with COVID, but I mean, traditionally, they can't get unemployment because they signed up for a seasonal
For
position
seasonal
that's April through October, so you can't file for unemployment November to March.
Okay, all of these are seasonal, these ones we're picking up here on these guys.
I'll make a motion that we approve, grant the request of 4 seasonal for highway. I believe that's a 1176.
Yes.
And I will second.
Okay, all in favor, say
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Oh, that was nice.
That's a rare one.
And we'll double check that.
Health,
We also need to check which one. One, two,
1168.
Oh, that's the new one.
no, it's shifting from, it's changing the fund source.
Change funding.
Yeah, because we already have that position, don't we?
The only actual thing new is, well, I mean, is the part-time salaries, but the funding source for environmental health specialist and the insurance billing clerk, the funding source would also move it to the actual general health fund and out of those health immunization grant and,
Have proper funding, those accounts.
Did you include those in your payroll amount for, in the health department?
do what?
Did you include that in the payroll amount for health department?
No, that's why I said we'll be pushing the advertisement.
Okay.
That's what I was getting ready to go in and add those in, that's why I was adding in some, Kevin.
So you're looking at, what, between?
We would, if they decided to do it, if we're over it, we'd have to ask for an additional after the first year to clear it up.
Because you're looking at 79, 80,000, 120,000, 122,000, something like that. Oh, and the part-time, was that in there either?
Yeah, I got it down there.
The part-time's included in the advertised amount.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but not the other two positions. So 120,000 has not been advertised, but it may be within the range. What was advertised in addition? Like, it was advertised high.
Oh. You got any discussion on this one? Health department's not gonna have any the rest of the year this year, like they
I know. I think what she's requesting is reasonable.
Is that a new job?
The special, they're shifting it from a different funding.
So Cheryl, if we go to this sheet that you did with, at 3%, that
Okay,
has,
did you make a motion?
does that include the part-time? On this sheet that you gave us yesterday?
And
Because it
let's have
has the
all in
health
favor, say
department
aye. All
at
right, we got a motion and a.
1,295,502.94.
Are they still talking
No.
about it?
Yeah, we're still talking over here.
No, it does
We made a
not over
motion.
here. It does not, because I didn't put it in there.
We done talking about that.
That doesn't include the part-time help.
No, 'cause I didn't.
Okay.
It's in health, then.
So 1,295 plus another 50, so
we're
it's
okay.
1,345, and what was advertised?
I need to go back and look at their,
1159, 174 was advertised. What I have, is that right? 115917? No? For payroll salaries.
yeah,
Oh, wait, that includes, hold on a minute, that includes,
1159174.
yeah, I need to go back and look at just salaries, not the benefits too. So it's 8,
I'm not sure about that.
so
Did you
1049.
You just have to scream.
So we got
They might stop
110,000.
and look.
You might be able to squeak that in.
I was gonna say, I think we can do it, it'll just be close.
We got Jim.
Okay.
On
So you guys made a motion and a second on all three
I
of them?
didn't even focus on it. I evidently it didn't intimidate me.
Did you guys make a motion and a second on all of the health
Well,
departments?
Yes, we did.
we do the part-time?
So you did part-time and then shifting the 2 positions?
Yep.
And that was a motion by
Marie,
Marie?
Second by Todd,
I voted.
Todd
Oh,
Lupner.
aye. Okay.
I got a question on the parks, though. Is that stipend existing, or is that new?
It's a new,
There you have it.
And what was it, you guys remember what was it for?
I have to zero out our budget.
apparently they
for
thought
them
they
to
needed
have
more money.
something.
I got, yeah.
Brenda, it's gonna take longer now, babe, we're gonna zero out ours.
Yep, got it all, yeah.
What was the stipend for in health?
No,
No,
it's
parks.
In the parks,
Parks, I mean.
I'm
Okay,
looking
so
at his explanation.
we talked to Adam,
The question was what the
clarification
motion
last
was,
night
but it
too.
was for the full-time and the
But we
part-time
were,
transfer.
we were talking.
Let me get the
Full-time and
parks.
part-time, correct?
Yep.
Okay, that's what I told you. But I didn't want to lie. I'd rather lie than there.
Gesundheit.
Got your emails from Adam?
I just,
I didn't understand the stipend, so I'm asking about the stipend in the park.
okay.
This is true.
Is there stipend for parks too?
Yeah, there's a request, and I asked if it was new, or at least it says new. It's $227 fees, but I didn't see it in the,
We would ask that our programming staff receive a $2,706.06 stipend for the extra hours worked, being that they are Pat A classification. Oh, because they're going to 40 hours.
I remembered there was something in there about 40 hours, and is that
Well,
covered
that's
under-
that's the maintenance,
Well, this says programming staff.
yeah, but he's got program staff actually going 40 hours in the peak season. So he's just raising them from 1820 to 1950, so not even 40 hours all year long.
So, why did they not
What's
just
this
pay
for
us
the extra hours work?
over 35?
No, it's about 25 for maintenance
But did you say
2,700,
35, 40,
27 for programming
Yes.
staff, yes. Yes, so the 2,700 is for the extra hours up to 1950 that they're gonna work. Because they're only gonna work 40 hours
Part of the year.
part of the year.
That's what I understood too.
So it's
Then
maintenance,
Why would we pay that as a stipend?
I don't know.
For versus
Well, the
pay.
other thing is, you need to look, see if they're exempt or not,
There's one.
if they're exempt or not.
Well, the one's probably working on it. Sure.
Well, the Pat A's,
Well, one is, the one programmer is your Griffin Bike Park manager.
I mean, if you're doing stipends to make up for overtime,
I mean, maybe what's best is, instead of giving them the stipend, if we do the, I mean, calculate it based on, say, the 1,950 hours, like he did for
but we need to determine if they're hourly
maintenance.
There's two different,
or
there's-
salary.
is that not two different requests? Stipend
They
is
are.
one request?
That's why he's asking. that. Yes, they're two different requests. One is for maintenance, keeps,
Right. And then two, there's, it says, 6 people wanting that as increase in park maintenance time. It says times 6, increase from 820 to 1950 at 1829. Then one park maintenance at 1842 for a total of 1,007.
Well-
So,
that's because the one makes 1842 an hour.
right, right.
So if he's gonna go to 1,950 hours, it's gonna cost you a little more
Yeah,
than the 18. So that's one request, is the maintenance peeps,
right.
to go to 1,950 hours. Then his other request is for the programmers.
Oh, that's the two that are exempt?
They're not exempt.
They're not exempt.
Instead of,
How much content? Well, only reason that for us is, the reason that matters to me is if we start a stipend, we might start something
No,
that
we
will
saw
start,
it on.
where if we do a payout, it's actual work.
Oh,
do they?
Yeah, I appreciate it, I mean, that way we can.
I'm assuming, maybe this is because he did, like, I follow a lot of their programs anyways, because I think they have some cool stuff. So I'm assuming this is for like those after-hours programming,
Yeah.
like what they're doing at the parks, like games at night or movie at the park or, you know, and then like you said at Griffin, they do
And that's why it's not all year.
all the tournaments and stuff. I mean, that's,
I don't have a problem compensating somebody who's want to do it.
Yeah.
Great.
I would think we're going to consider doing it consistent as well. Doing
Do it
it
as consistent.
consistently.
Oh, I
is-
thought you said give it to his sister as well.
Yeah, you can give it to his sister
She
too.
said consistent, sister, I just didn't hear.
Didn't know you had a system.
Well, Mr. Auditor, what would be the most consistent way we could accommodate the Parks Department?
Would be the easiest thing. I'd say, other than a stipend, like pay for the hours work.
Yeah. 'Cause then
Okay, you good with that?
I'd rather do
Okay,
9 hours.
my motion would be to allow we've already taken care of the Griffin Bike Park Manager, correct? Everybody, we agree with that? And that in lieu of stipend as requested, we would continue the process of doing a payout annually for the hours worked?
Well, it's bi-weekly, and you
Just
can
pay
pay
it
as
annually.
as they
Pay
were.
it
Oh,
pay it
do the
overtime
payout.
too.
Okay. To the non-exempt. And I would be okay with increasing the park maintenance, the 6 at 1829 from rate from 820 to 1950, and the one at 1842 rate from 820 to 1950.
so we're doing the whole thing.
So you're adjusting their hours, basically, for the year.
Yeah, but then doing, no, not doing the stipend, but doing a payout.
Pay as they,
So
Pay for it.
overtime for, yes,
I don't think it comes in,
It's not
a-
necessarily overtime, it depends on which hours they're working.
that's why I said payout, yeah, pay,
Bi-weekly.
whatever their normal pay is
You're gonna compensate them for
As
the
a
hours that they,
for the actual hours worked.
Second?
I second.
I don't know
Oh.
how, if you can budget that item, though. That's what I'm saying. I don't.
Just pay,
Well,
you're just gonna pay, you'll know
I
what
think
it
probably
is.
what I'll try to break it down, what an hourly rate is for the salary person and.
Okay,
give
all
them
in favor, say
1,950
aye.
hours,
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries.
Don't you think?
Figure it out.
Figured it out. But correction rehab,
All righty.
well, this is not a very big dollar amount.
Not in our world, it's supposed to work, and it's gonna make them
No,
buy a
no,
hamburger.
I'm not, yeah.
Okay.
Is it increasing?
Okay, this, yeah, the lit correctional rehab, these peeps are already in there. So I assumed it may just be based on what you give as an increase, but this is just kind of what community corrections had put in there. So,
Do we have to do anything to it, or is it
well,
just in there?
I think I would wait to see what kind of increase you choose to give, would be my suggestion. Because it's pretty close to a 3%
that's, it
increase.
looks like it's close to percent, that was.
Well, the
it's
one up,
Yeah, it's close to a 3% increase anyway, so I didn't know whether you
yep,
just wanted
it
to
is.
wait.
I looked at it, I thought it was right on 3%, so.
Yeah, so
I don't want to short them.
I didn't know if you wanted to wait and see what you chose to do with employees and go from there,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah,
and then the supplemental adult probation should already have in, and that one, we'll just deal with it as we do that budget.
So we don't have to do anything on that, right, or we do?
Not really, it's in there, so
We'll
we
just
do
give it- do the
supplemental
same
adult
thing.
probation. That's just to let you know that we are going to have to fund some of that from the grant, so that was just
do
kind
we
of
need to go
a,
back?
That's insurance, right? That-
well, that's what it really
we
what it's
wanna
coming down to, but the
give the-
problem is we have to break it up, Melissa, because they only allow the
Like we
DOC
did.
grant to be a certain salary
We gotta
amount.
do group home. so-
Oh,
So now we gotta break it up.
so like, they tell you what salary,
Yeah.
what the grant will pay.
So it's pain.
So then you-
It's pain in the butt. It's pain in
So,
the butt.
have you, but like in their
Forget
budget,
myself.
you put it all in the insurance line, I think, right?
We were trying, but
Oh, and then come back later and they said no?
There's no question about it.
Okay,
We did get
all right, these are informational.
yeah, that's kind of just informational for you
It
guys.
needs to get going.
We just tried to hit everything that everybody requested.
Figure out what we're gonna do.
Give her what she wants. It's a saving. Give her what she wants. It's a
We're trying to
saving.
figure out
We had to-
something.
We could put it into motion.
I know.
What are we doing?
Okay, you guys, we gotta figure out how to get this group homes into a motion. Now, let's pay attention, everyone.
Here's what, here's,
Okay, class,
We're listening.
group homes. That, group homes change base for youth care specialist. Who's gonna take this on? We need a motion. We need words to get that into.
the intent
you know.
is to give them what they're requesting because I believe this is different than the others because it's more essential with it being a group home with taking care of children at
Troubled
needs.
kids.
And it's gonna be a net savings, so it's different. I look at it differently with reducing staff. The program is gonna be at a net saving, but I'd like some assistance on the wording on it.
And it needs to
Can
be,
I throw this out here real quick?
Sure.
Do
Yep.
Whatever you want with it, but when you want to start talking about essential employees, you've got the jail, you've got
Yeah.
the sheriff's department, you've got community corrections, you have juvenile center, that all have.
And if they come to us with essential services that they're gonna give us a net savings, I'll put them in the same category.
Okay,
Sure they could give you a net savings.
Excuse me?
I'm not sure they could give you a net savings because they've been pretty essential, but
No, I'm saying is
No,
if you
she's-
want to lump the same
Oh,
essential
same
service, I'm
scenario.
not saying that they're not essential services. Absolutely, they're essential services. But if they can come to us and say, we have an issue here that we need to resolve, and it's going to result in a net savings, I would be more interested in doing it without going through WIS or Baker Tilly.
Okay.
That's the only reason I'm doing
I
it,
got you.
because
I got what
it's
you're
such a
saying.
small amount, but it's such an important need for the group homes. is what that's how my rationale is on it. And I don't know if that's right or not, and I'll take criticism for it. But I think when somebody, a group home that's been a very successful program, they're in need because of COVID and because of needing that nursing care more than they need a part-time secretary. They're willing to cut service or cut their need financially to get what they need. So my motion would be as we allow them to
Make the necessary cuts
make
to
the
get their nurse in place.
Yes.
How about that? Just as simple as we
Yeah,
can make it.
okay. Yeah, my motion is to grant their request to do the necessary personnel with the nurse and the youth care specialist, and to be at a net savings to the fund.
And just to verify before I second it, this adjustment will be a net savings, correct?
That's my motion. That's the way I understand it. I mean, and because there's a lot of calculations with it. My best calculations is it's a net savings of $14,000 plus.
Yeah, I had 15, so.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 That's the best we can do.
I did-
To do nothing on it, I think is wrong.
I did verify, Mr. Bramble, I did verify, we did get a stipend at the end of the year from ESSER funds for educators.
And I can verify I didn't.
But you did get the golf.
I did. Twice.
Okay, cut the secretary, hire a nurse. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, what's that point valid? Yeah, central, yeah. It's just-
Well,
this is unique.
I think, well, okay, I guess this is where I'm from. I think it's hard to say, we'll give it to you because you cut a position, because you don't have as many homes open now. And you've got the jail that's overflowing, there's no way they can cut positions and give you net savings.
I get that.
And same way with, you
And I
know,
look at the jail different too, is because there's a lawsuit going on with the jail. So I have to look at that different too than I do
yeah.
group home.
I mean, and I think while you're looking at it from a department standpoint, but you're not looking at it from an employee standpoint. Because those employees that were there working 24/7 or whatever, they weren't, but you're penalizing them for something that's out of their control, but rewarding another employee with the same thing.
Right, and that, everybody has a perspective.
Absolutely, they have a perspective. I don't think I'm trying to reward or punish anybody on this case. I think what we're talking about, a net savings of $14,000 in a budget that we have. And if we can help a group home, I think they're just trying to be real creative to survive this COVID. And as she said in her letter, they have had worse cases to deal with because of the COVID as well.
And I don't think it's mutually exclusive. I think we can
Right.
do everything we can do. If we
Yeah.
can do it all, then let's do it all.
What else we have?
Okay, what we got next?
The only
Sarah?
thing we didn't take care of is building inspection, right?
Oh, the plumber.
But do
Building
we,
inspection, Harrison Township, that's.
and Harrison Township is gonna do that with,
We're gonna do that with
EMA.
the elected officials. And which one, kiddo?
EMA, we didn't do that either.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
She
EMA.
hasn't answered yet.
Yeah, Brenda's gonna get a hold of Dr. Wayne.
yeah, that's, who was getting hold
Brenda,
of?
Nurse Brenda.
Did you send them a?
I sent her a text,
Oh,
but
she hasn't answered
responded.
yet.
Calissa, did you happen to reach out to the jail or sheriff?
No, it's on my list.
Well, Todd spoke with the sheriff, and Charlie reached out to me, and from what you were told, it was supposed to
It was an oversight,
be included.
and so I don't know if they want to include it.
If there's
I
no
just-
That's what
oversight,
I
I'd
was
say they do.
Message that they wanted to include that. That was an oversight that they didn't include it for the jailers.
I'd say let's just put it in.
Just-
You haven't
just-
had did he, when he communicated with you, did he give any kind of indication of number of jailers? The
Oh, we know how
I
many
know how many
jailers.
there are.
Can you ask him to put that in an email, and that
Yes.
way
Yeah,
you
that-
have
I would like to have something
a
like that.
document?
60. Why do I just have a piece of paper?
How many jailers they have? What is it?
I know they
Gave
have
it to
about
me and I
20
got all the
less than
numbers.
we need.
Yeah,
Hang on.
that's how many jailers.
Well, I know there's vacancies. How many?
69 jailers that we closed, yes.
The rest
There
are.
it
The
is.
rest are naked. I better go check.
Naked
You
jailer,
wanna go with me?
Oh,
naked and afraid.
Yes, they are.
So, yeah, I'll reach back out to Charlie and
I've seen,
I guess
I've
spoke
seen
with John.
in court that they were brought over for battery by bodily fluid.
Oh, yeah, don't you think that's so icky?
69?
That's
That's
more
kinda
frequent than
common
you
over
think
there,
in
I
the,
think.
in
Yeah.
the log.
So, yeah, they need extra uniforms.
Yeah, they get two.
I'd wear two at once, I think.
Did anybody reach out to the building inspection?
He's not in.
I think, is he still working remotely? I was gonna send him an email.
I want to be fair to her. Try to reach out to everybody.
And then, well, that, let's see, Charlie and then Terry.
Do you want us to reach out to Dr. Hoynicke?
Yeah, Brenda's
they're
contacted
doing it.
her.
I texted her, but she hasn't answered yet.
No, that's fine, that's great.
All right, Terry Bates. Plumber. That's what you wanted to know about, was the
Yes.
plumber.
Was it a request or just that they were?
They didn't put it in writing and include it in their budget request, but he mentioned it. That's
When he
what
came to
That's
the
what
hearing.
my understanding, that's my memory on it, but.
I'm wondering if that was an oversight too, that he
It may
didn't,
have been.
he intended
He
to
might
put
not
it in,
know
and
he's
he
supposed,
just-
or
yeah.
might not know he
Right,
needed to
might
if
be
he,
too-
Well, I
if he
think
mentioned
what he
it.
said at the time was, when he did his budget, and they hadn't really talked about doing that, it was something that was maybe determined later.
Well, you're on employees, and it's not in here, but we could use some extra help
Could you ever?
over on our side. And I haven't got it prepared, basically, 'cause we don't have time to write job descriptions, but, you know, when I first started here in 2000, we had 17 people working in the auditor's office, and we got, what, 11 or 12 now.
God,
And heck, in the last 4 years, we probably added 40 or 50 new employees, and you probably added 6 or 8 today. And that, you know, that's more back office work. And every time they turn around, some department applies for a new grant, that's new reporting and more auditors we've got to deal
and
with.
the payroll, God almighty.
Plus, we've added gap reporting, and it's not the same job it was 4 years ago.
Well, the claims
Yeah.
is outrageous.
But
All I know is we are audited by every freaking department anymore.
Yeah.
It
anyway,
used
I
to be
just
State
got-
Board of Accounts, and that's
There's my
it.
concept. A little organization
Oh,
chart.
yeah, I hadn't got a chance to tell Melissa that.
These two, we've got
State Board of
basically
Accounts
two
audit settlement now
functions,
too.
tax, payroll,
We're supposed to
financial
Gosh.
reporting.
Yeah,
And
well,
we did have that back when I
back to doing
started.
that stuff.
Yeah, you used to have
They were,
those.
they were supposed to do it all
Well,
along.
what
all
happened
over
to
the
those
place.
people?
I don't know, disappeared somewhere in
Have they been
the
kidnapped or
I mean,
what?
I know, but,
Guess you can make a copy.
But I had to show her how to read the form.
well, it's exactly right, because
Calista.
when they talked about it, they were
But
like,
there's
they had
one.
no clue what was going on, how it worked.
I look back
How are
at
you gonna audit it?
So I had to take the time to show her how to read the form to audit it.
Take another day off.
here.
I can do half days, it's a lot better, more
There's the old,
Gee, what
the
is?
old tax supervisor job.
I can alter it.
Of course, that's changed.
Yes.
If you're
It's just
talking
less.
tomorrow, I can't do
Yeah,
tomorrow.
no, that's okay.
Was that?
I would prefer not to do
I've,
tomorrow.
I've got to take my mom to the doctor.
Okay.
Yeah. I prefer not tomorrow because that'd be 3 days away from students.
Those students are gonna get used to you being gone, sister.
I don't know.
They're having a party.
Yeah.
I hope not. They should be doing
She's
some work.
gone, she's.
Went over as chief deputy, Ray Watson.
Oh,
Well, we haven't done your,
I can do an evening, Maria, as long as it's not a Thursday evening, if that helps.
But anyway, here, and then
Yeah,
here's
I'll figure
another
it out.
example, back there,
Only because I
Yeah,
have
this
city council on Thursday.
payroll, office manager, and payroll clerk. And then we had,
So
here in the back,
Melissa,
had
what
another,
I'm going through here,
had
I'm
another
doing
person working in payroll.
on mine is adding the positions that they've
Two
added
people
today.
working on that with probably 200 less
well, I watch her
employees.
trying to
With
do those claims. I
3%.
mean, that is incredible.
And putting them in here to see where we're at.
This job, here, this office manager,
grab a chair.
I changed
had
it,
some onions.
someone with an accounting background.
Did we give an
college
answer
gap.
on group, did we really
Says
finalize
no.
group home?
Yeah.
Anyway,
How come
who was
We
it?
did?
It's a starting point.
You wanna get us something,
That's right.
have Cheryl put something on here for us as well?
In my time.
On
We
the,
haven't
Oh,
done your,
on that.
your office.
Oh, okay.
That's what Todd's asking for.
Get Cheryl something.
Oh, sure. You might, yeah, because I'd punch your
My
face
dad used to
in.
say, why aren't doing anything? Why aren't doing anything?
I've got another budget I need to look at.
well, that's what I'm saying, is it may benefit you
Then
in the
that,
long
that
run.
job you're looking for,
It may
the
be
outside
beneficial.
job.
It may be beneficial. I'm ready to, motion something.
Okay.
Motion happy.
I mean, we
Well,
can
I just
start,
wanna try to move it along.
we can start on the general fund if you want to go down for the 2s, 3s, and 4s. Like I said, I've been trying to add the positions that you've added today into the fund. That's what I was saying.
So we've got these.
So, I just want to go down.
So the general, do we still have any other ones, like, I know we haven't done the census, right?
That's in the general fund.
Excuse me.
It's in the general fund.
Also, all these are rolled up into the ones that we haven't done besides this building inspection, because I know we haven't done it. When we were talking payroll, I knew that we hadn't done it as well. Do we have the other ones that we haven't done? Besides the general?
They're all on here.
All of them that we,
You already did the
ones
highway.
you haven't done are the ones with payroll in them and
Okay.
the general fund, which has a lot of payroll in it.
Okay. Okay, very good.
I mean, we've done the 2s, 3s, and 4s in all of
they're
them,
telling me you
other
need,
than the general
which one
fund.
you've got to find.
We have done addressed
Telling me you
payroll.
need the chief
Because I
deputy,
knew,
you need a chief
like I say,
deputy.
building inspection was just one of them that popped up to me, but I didn't think like we hadn't done the corners, but if it's gonna be rolled in the general as well.
Yeah, the general
Hold on,
fund,
here's one,
I mean,
here's
it's
one.
a $42
$2
million,
million
$45 million budget. It includes all the administrative
Well, also, I
offices,
didn't include in there,
courts,
there was an
clerks,
assistant chief deputy, which
Holy
would
cow.
be kind of, I would include it with this.
All right. So, there again,
Yeah.
being new at this, there's no one order. I didn't know if we were 2/3 the way through or halfway through or.
you've saved the granddaddy of them all for the end.
The general.
Yes.
So, if you want to look at the general fund, like I said, I've tried to add in some of the salaries, but if I guess the main thing would be to kind of look at 2s, 3s, and 4s in the general fund right now, so you can kind of see where you're at on those departments.
Well, no, it goes.
No, I
fast.
mean, we've got it
goes
in here for
fast.
3%, but I mean, I'm still adding your new peeps in, and you're gonna have to get to a point where what you see, we're gonna have to adjust your levies with these levied funds.
Right.
You're gonna have to make a decision
And you have to decide where you want your operating balances
Yes.
to be, where you want your levies
to be, so.
whether you can fund it.
That's why we're getting it all in here, so you can figure out where you want, where those are gonna be
I
at.
just appreciate the explanation.
Yeah. When you,
Yeah.
on the other funds, when you did like the 2s, 3s, and 4s, or the whole funds, those are not property tax levy funds, and they can either fund it or they can't.
Oh, okay.
So, the county general fund, health, parks, reassessment, hume cap development, courthouse bond, they have a property tax levy. And so you have your miscellaneous revenues, and you can levy property taxes. You have a limitation on what property taxes you can levy.
That we've already advertised.
You
Thank you.
advertised high.
Right, yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
so, from what was advertised, I think you have to cut almost $4.5 million.
Jim, would you sign this drawing?
I'm gonna frame it.
Two.
Okay.
Okay, the way the general fund rolls through some numbers, and these locations are set up by the state, so of course, they're not in alphabetical order, but you got the clerk is first. So, tried to do something already, and it looks like travel expenses increased. Travel's been increased by 1,000, mileage was increased as anticipated for additional travel. He's got education, counseling, and training in this one for 5,000 for the NACO leadership classes. Service agreements has decreased. Equipment new went up by $500.
I think we would anticipate travel and education to increase after the year that we had last year. I think, Cheryl, you and I had that even about the auditors department is going to need to do more educational as well.
Yeah, I just, in ours, we should probably be okay. It's just we
I
haven't,
think,
when you looked at ours, you wouldn't have seen as much spent in these last 2 years because of
But
the
you're
COVID.
looking at a difference between appropriation and expenditure. It wasn't necessarily under appropriated based on no travel because of COVID,
right, right.
but they may not be spending their appropriation.
Well, and if their education, like last year, is most of it's remote, then we're not gonna have the travel expenses.
True.
Correct. And I think that was just kind of a clarification to say, like, when you were saying to look at what had been spent, the problem is it may not have been spent because we ended up going remote,
Right.
but that doesn't mean that we won't be.
Won't have
like,
the need.
Our conferences are going back to in person unless something happens. So that's kind of, I think, where I was going with the education and stuff, that,
So, and this falls under category of the ones?
no, these are 2s, 3s, and 4s.
Oh, 2s, 3s, and 4s, okay,
Yes, this is the clerk's budget, 2s, 3s, and 4s.
okay.
Start up with office supplies, and it shows he's decreased it by 2,000. And then travel expenses, he increased by 1,000. Mileage, he increased by like $800.
They'll be traveling $1,000. I don't think they'll no, COVID is still.
Yeah, but this is for 22 budget, so I don't know, yeah.
There's an election, they'll be here.
Okay.
They'll be traveling.
The clerks travel quite a bit for education.
For
And another
in-state.
thing you need to consider in mileage and
Well,
travel
gas is
they-
higher, yeah.
Well, they.
And mileage is up too, yeah.
Commissioners increased the mileage reimbursement and the per
56
diem.
cents, yeah.
Per diem.
Okay, all right, we'll go on down.
So the mileage was increased. He's asking for $5,000 for the NACO leadership classes for 2. Service agreements was decreased.
So let's see. Okay.
Equipment new, office furniture.
And make a motion to approve the 2, 3s, and 4s as requested
For the clerk's office.
for the clerk's office.
And I would suggest like you're doing that, and that's good, so we have documentation of that. But when we get towards, the true funding, if that comes up, the budgets, that you remember some of those that might be the ones that you could make slight cuts if you had to. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yep,
Let me come back.
okay.
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Okay.
Folks on the agenda.
We're next. Oh, but they don't have a copy, and I meant to print that off. Todd's asked 15 times. So you pull it off the budget section, print it off. But they can see ours from here. And the increases that we have had will be with licenses. That's our Lao financial software. And tax software. The rest is the same. Professional services is still like Baker Tilly that helps compile the gap reports. Our fixed assets.
And the actuaries.
Yeah, and the insurance actuaries. So that's what all of this is that we pay for. And the rest is like our licenses for financial and tax software.
Wait, I'm just.
You got a question?
Picky, yeah. So, salary, oh, we're just looking at 2, 3, 4. Never
Yep.
mind, sorry.
Right
sorry.
now, we're doing 2s, 3s, and 4s.
I'd make a motion, we requested 2, 3, 4 for clerk, for auditors.
And I will second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion approved.
Next is the treasurer.
Treasurer,
And I will highlight their 2s, 3s, and 4s right there. And when I looked through theirs, I didn't see any changes on theirs either. Their contractual services is normally like, is it Brinks and, yeah, Brinks and the people that print the tax bills. They don't do Brinks. Oh, they don't do Brinks? But that's
They don't
me.
have any.
That's
Not
all.
any.
I want to talk to them about it.
No, there's no changes in their budget from last year.
But they're not like paying debts and might.
They're not what?
Weren't they paying Getz for the cash book? And I
That's
think
probably under their
included.
licenses.
Where's that at?
Licenses?
I'm thinking they pay that under their licenses.
Well, they're not using that Getz anymore. They're using, it's on Wow.
Well, yeah, but I think they're still using, they still have guts right now with the transition to the new cash book. So eventually you may see that, whatever that part is, come off. But right now, during the transition from,
You're running them both.
Have you tried it?
Good.
Probably melted a little bit.
Faulty.
so yeah, they've not made any changes from what was approved from last year.
Ready.
approved.
Motion to approve 2, 3, and 4 for treasurers.
All in favor, say
Aye.
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 Okay, recorder.
Recorder, the only thing she has in besides salaries and group insurance is mileage, and it's the same, $500. The rest of their stuff they take out of the perpetuation fund.
And that's the one we really have no say or control over, right? Yeah. Okay. I don't see anything jumps out at me, Marie. You?
Motion to approve.
I would make a motion to approve the treasurers 2, 3, or recorders 2, 3, 4, sorry, go one behind.
And I will second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, share of, road.
This sheriff's general fund?
The sheriff, yeah, they come out of the general fund, he comes. come out of general fund. They come out of general fund. Usually there's the loss, because they took that out of,
The only increase was the body cameras, and that's funny.
yeah.
We, yeah,
Taking that out of the,
so
Correct.
it's already been removed out of there, right?
Yep, I
Okay.
got it down to 0, I've already taken it out.
Didn't we take something else out of the, didn't we pay for another, one in public safety that would have been,
They requested the contractual services
oh,
out of the other, I had it advertised in both places, and you took it out of public safety.
oh, we took it out of public safety, okay.
I
okay.
kind of had those advertised out of both places, I've already zeroed those out.
Okay.
that body armor as needed rotation, how often do they replace that,
The body armor,
generally speaking?
they normally last,
I want to say we talked about that.
well, they say 5, but in all honesty, the ones professionals will say no more than 3. Because they start to wear and that, it doesn't,
You're talking about the Kevlar.
yeah. Yeah, but I will tell you, they've tested the time, some of them's had them for quite a while, and, yeah.
And then on this one, on the, of course, we took it out here, you know, but body armor, body cameras were
We
looking
took the
for a
body
grant.
cameras and moved it.
Yeah,
So that's why you see zeros on those, you chose to go.
yeah, that's right.
So those have been moved out. Surveyor,
Motion to approve.
So move for 2, 3, and 4s, sheriffs.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
All right,
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion is
surveyor.
surveyor.
He just has a $150 increase for dues in 2022.
That's it.
And has an increase in contractual services.
That's because Meyer Engineering,
Yeah,
they're
contract with him.
$100 a month.
that guy, I think he lives in my neighborhood. Philip, is it, Phil is his name?
Who?
Oh, Bruce. I'm looking at that.
I don't think.
I don't see anything jumps out. Make a motion, 2, 3s, and 4s.
And I will second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm not sure we knew who you meant lived in your neighborhood.
It's not Bruce.
It's not Bruce, but I was laughing at you. I'm pretty sure it's not Bruce.
That's not Bruce. That's not my neighbor then. I thought there was an engineer there.
Maybe, maybe Dave Myers.
Huh?
I think his name's David Myers.
Oh,
It's not that in here.
no,
Oh, you guys. Okay,
corner.
corner.
Bless you.
East side.
I believe when she presented to you, she did, I mean, she's had an increase in $500 for office supplies. And then the only other increase that she discussed with you was autopsy fees.
Right.
And,
And maybe going up even more,
yeah,
correct?
but that's the things that she discussed with you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Part of it has to do with Dr. Ford retiring
Yes.
Correct.
and the facility
In
fees.
the facility
The
fees.
hospital may go.
And make a motion to approve items 2, 3, 4 for the coroner.
I second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay.
Now we're to the assessor out of the general fund. And there are no changes from what was adopted last year in 2s, 3s, and 4s.
It's very practical.
Wait, there's,
Exactly.
so all of the other changes were in sales disclosure and
Yeah.
reassessment. Okay.
how come he's down 10,000 on payroll? Any idea?
He's down.
He's not down, that's just the 3%. This advertised amount was, remember,
It's
the advertised amount was like 7% over
Oh,
last year.
never mind.
What I've got in there would be a 3% increase for the,
What, we at 7?
I did 7 this year, just to be on the
Oh, I
safe
thought you
side.
said 5.
Oh, I did 7 to be on the safe side.
Oh,
Oh, that's a success.
5 was starting to push it over the total amount that of each employee. And last year, we were pushing that with the bigger increases, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, there's no changes in his 2s, 3s, and 4s.
Approve, 3, 4,
For the assessor.
for assessors.
I second.
Favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Prosecutor,
they've got lots.
let's see. Return of fugitives is increased by 4,000. Contractual services, he's increased by 3,000.
And this one you've already filled in.
Auto do.
Trial and investigation increased by 10,000. Registration. Registration fees, 8,000. Mileage, 2,000.
Do we know what the registration fees were, considering that last year was 0?
Registration fees are
Probably
normally
going to
for any
conference.
conferences and stuff they go to, and theirs is normally out of town or national type.
But they've never had a budget for it in general.
I know, I noticed that. Yeah, I think they used to pay for
I
that.
think they're gonna be
because,
too busy trying, okay?
4D or user fee, fraction deferral. He pays for it wherever he can find a place to pay for it.
Nobody's business. Well, explain. Buy some books.
Law books.
They've all got law books in their, when you see it, you'll see they've all
Right.
got law books in their budget.
Except they
Gonna
don't
buy
give
books.
Yeah, I know. So, I don't know, the return of fugitives is expense going up.
I don't know that there's much that we can. If they'd already addressed with us, return of fugitives is just getting more expensive. Trial investigations.
Tell them to stay home, not really.
I don't necessarily understand the increase in 10,000 there.
When they spend the 60.
Yeah. Do you guys know what that's
More
for?
trials.
Is that paying for like specialists coming in for trial investigation? Do you know what that's for?
Yes,
Prosecutor
he
testimony.
talked about that Dr.
The specialist.
Abu Dhabi or,
Abu Dhabi, Adiagbo.
okay, that might be it.
Dr. A, let's call him Dr. A.
Dr. A.
Mm-hmm.
That's easier. That, remember his was so high and,
$6,000.
Yeah, if you ask for if they ask for an expert witness or somebody to come in,
That's what they pay them from.
that,
Forensic
under
pathologist,
trial
6,000.
investigation.
Okay. I don't think that there's a whole lot to cut unless we were to cut that area. So,
Well, if you do, they'll be losing all their cases.
I know, so.
Why? You want the criminals to win?
Prosecutor.
I'm telling, when you run for office, I'm
Please
gonna
hold
run,
out one thing.
I'm gonna run the campaign
better hope
against
that
you.
you better hope that you're not arrested and they have to face the prosecutor then.
I would
He
ask
gets
for
arrested
a
and
change.
wins the case. That's what he
I would
wants.
ask for a change of venue.
Yeah.
Smart
I'm
cookie.
not getting arrested.
That you know of.
You know what happens when they say that? They get arrested that night. I'll have a
Should we go ahead and
motion
move?
to
Yeah.
have some.
It's you, Marie.
So moved. Motion to pass 2, 3, and 4 on the prosecutor's office.
How about you, Mr. Clerk? All in favor, say aye.
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 Gotta be a little bit of a rebel, I can't.
Voter
Motion
registration.
passes.
You'll see where we always put the name, part-time helping is needed or included. It's always included. They do have you see on that one sheet I did give you the other day with the breakdown on the part-time. Over time, you'll see they have a part-time Democrat and Republican, and they both get so many hours.
Registration.
That's what's included in that, besides the two. So office supplies hasn't changed, no, there's no changes.
at all.
I will move to pass the registration of voters budget as proposed. There's some changes and.
All in favor, aye. Aye.
I'm comfortable doing that.
Okay, next.
Extension,
This is for
Purdue Extension. Ag
looks like office
extension.
supplies have went down by 4,300, but
Wow.
contractual services went up, and advertising went to 4,300, so there's your 4,300,
We have a net increase of 97.
yeah.
Is that
Contractual services.
And
What is
that's-
that?
contract
What do
with
they have?
Purdue?
Yes, the contract with Purdue increased, didn't it?
Oh, really?
Purdue Extension. But Purdue itself, they have a
Oh,
good
did you
contract.
say the contract services through Purdue?
Yeah, they contract with.
Mitch Daniels' salary probably went up
Yeah,
by that
probably.
too.
Probably.
Some of the, like, they only, if you look at their salary ordinance, they only have 3 employees in the extension. 2 or 3, 2 maybe. Anyway, but then you have all of the,
2 plus the part-time.
the director, some administrative people, the farm people, the floral people, ag people, whatever.
Full wage.
So, but they get paid through, they're Purdue employees.
They get paid.
Yeah, they're paid through Purdue. And that's part of our contract.
Not right now. And that.
And back, what I got.
Okay.
Motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Room services.
To ask a question, like if they don't go to the conferences or things like that, and there's money left at the end of the year, it just goes back in the general, correct?
Anything?
If they don't
If they don't
transfer
transfer
it,
it
if they
somewhere
don't
else.
transfer it,
Okay. I believe, veterans, you tell them stuff.
the net change in veterans is 0.
That's what I was gonna say.
Because they just shifted things around.
What's that?
The net change,
Maybe they get VA.
The net change is 0, that's what she's trying to tell you.
yeah, they increased, office supplies by 100, travel by. Their toner cartons, but they're also. Was it an increase or a transfer?
Transfer.
Yeah. But they're also changing or investing in something different.
Our cartridges went up
So-
too, and so I found a different
What's the
supplier.
scoop on healthcare? Or
In group insurance,
they had it appropriated,
They did, but
both employees don't need insurance.
correct.
Oh, it's.
And that's why I said it's kind of a
You
snap in.
ho-
I'm
hold
assuming
in
one
time,
of them's VA, I don't know about the other one.
Yeah, he doesn't have insurance.
Insurance here. Oh, I love that guy. He's
Insurance.
terrific.
I'll move to approve veteran services, office
Second.
budget.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Harrison Township Assessor? 2s, 3s, and
yeah, 2,
4s,
3, 4,
there's no
sorry.
changes.
Oh. Do you notice how he's criticizing you when he doesn't get to say that?
Yeah. State.
And then for 2, 3, and 4 for Harrison Township, looks like no changes, so I move to approve Harrison Township assessor for 2, 3, 4.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Second. Aye. Quick.
I remembered to say 2, 3, 4 this time. I know. Up, here's us.
No, that was voter
County Council.
registration.
Oh,
Golly, I jumped the gun.
so didn't we just do something like
There's
we
not
did?
enough money in this one, I just think it's
We just,
money.
didn't we just take some money out of this one too? We were doing it. When I looked at council, my notes, we moved some money out or something. Was that?
We've done nothing to the budget for next year. This is the one that I said that has the supplement to drug court and supplement to community corrections.
We took that out.
Well, it's here and it's in the court's budget, so we need to decide where we're gonna put it.
But, I mean, in my notes, the suggestion was that we
Correct,
transfer that.
but it's advertised out of both at this point and waiting for your decision.
So if I remember, the discussion was it didn't want to look like we were being legislators. Right,
Administrator.
Administrator.
administrators.
So if you want those to go to 0, it will, you'll see it down the court's one too before long.
Travel.
So Jim, from what I understand, go ahead and take it out of here and do it in the other area on drug court, community corrections. Is that better? Okay.
The other thing I think you need to look at is that payroll adjustments. It's for $500,000. It's basically
You mean we're
never
not
been
getting
used.
that?
That's not for
We're not
us.
getting that? For, Christmas, I thought you were gonna surprise us with holidays.
What's the history on that? Educate me on that, why we have $500,000 in there?
When they did the last compensation plan, but there was a lot of calculations in place. And in case there were some problems with calculations or something was missed, it was put in there, and then it's been put in there every year, one, for, kind of a placeholder. And two, that if there were adjustments that made, for the
What?
general fund, make.
So with the forecast looking like we may be having another study done, do you think it would be prudent for us to at this point, or
I'd say deal with it at the time.
deal with it at the time?
I mean,
I think it's gotta come from somewhere, no matter what we do.
Most of the time, there's additional requested.
Most of the time, what?
There's an additional requested,
We used to have technical corrections,
yeah, for the budgets.
and we could do them through technical. We could
Now-
do that.
You will see, since it was budgeted this year, you will see that I did ask for the transfer for the unemployment into the commissioner's budget, only because it's already allocated instead of asking for an additional.
So it sounds like you recommend leaving it there.
Saying
Oh.
we have some appropriate
Okay.
time.
Okay.
They want to-
I should take it out if that's recommended.
feel like we reduce our budget.
It's not like we don't have money. We've got money, but
So motion that we adopt the recommended budget 234 with the zeroing of payroll adjustment, supplement to drug court, supplement to community corrections.
I will second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 So we can even say, we can tell, we've got our own budget.
Election board. I'm assuming these probably went up as preparing for election.
Which department is this, Sharon?
This is the election board, and I guess it, yeah, and the RBM,
We have all,
yeah,
but part of it you're going to,
that, yeah, that's what I was just getting ready to say. You're going into an election year, so, and this is where basically all your election stuff is paid for from.
It was called, what was, I was,
Is that clear at the top?
yeah, election.
Board, there it is.
Election board,
Yeah,
okay.
sorry.
No, that's fine, I was just combining.
0062.
So,
I do see, Melissa, they got that legal services in there.
oh,
Did they
this-
come in and talk about
This
that?
one, we already addressed the very top line.
Well, for the position, you did,
Addressed
yeah.
the position, so I think we did.
We'll address that with
Okay,
the salaries.
cool. All right.
part-time.
Yeah, you're gonna, this basically,
Yeah, they have a lot of part-time help.
this is basically the part-time, because I assumed you hung on.
I'll do that.
What I have right there is only for the part-time
Oh, wow.
on this one. It was advertised for the new position, but what I have sitting there is for the part-time. And when I say part-time, I mean, that's all your election workers.
It's really, maybe it should not, part-time
It-
and over,
Oh.
probably some.
Yeah, but it's where all your election workers are paid from. So like, when you go to the polls and you have all those election people, that's where this is paid from.
Coming from.
That's why you have that. And our employees, they get paid the regular rate or that day, right?
Scroll
Whatever.
that up a little bit, would you?
Yeah.
Scroll it up.
So, scroll up.
it Is that the end of it? Oh,
What's that too? Election service.
I believe they spoke, they went with a new vendor, correct?
RBM and
And-
note.
Knowing,
So does, who they pay rent to?
places where we put machines and,
Well, it's also if the polling places, you may have to pay rent at polling
put
places.
a machine out.
I just wondered, like, Meadows charge,
Now Meadows, is free.
we're free. I didn't know they were supposed to charge.
yeah, some do.
Walmart, they charge us.
Who?
Probably expensive, but that supposed to.
The mall shouldn't, that's most people's ever been there for,
Cheats, that's it.
makes it look good. Have you been to the mall lately?
There's something,
Yeah, here's the thing, how was that?
seeing it out, right?
Yeah.
That place is dead too. Heck yeah, I'm
Is
like,
that the end of it? Is that the bottom of it?
So, there you
Oh,
go.
one more.
Yep. I move to approve, the budget, items 2, 3, 4, 4. Can I see the top, because I said the title, right?
Election board. Election
Election
board.
board. Budget is presented.
Yeah, there's the RBM in the no ink quote in your book.
And a second time.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 What's the next one?
Commissioner,
We want to do drainage board?
Yeah,
Oh, it's
it's
all-
just
it's all
salaries, and
salaries.
it's the drainage board, and they all make, the drainage board gets paid the same amount,
That's a drain.
every year.
wow. It might be time to recess.
I think so.
The jokes are getting bad.
Just let's just send him out of the room, how's that?
Somebody's gotta take Brendan's place.
Oh!
Now you're to the commissioner's budget. Just an FYI, you know, that 80,000's just a guess for unemployment. You can lower it if you'd like. But we're over, and that's why we've got a request in for a transfer.
So
Did
it
you
all
do
goes
anything
under
with
the
drainage
commission.
board since there's no change?
Oh. It was salaries, I just
Yeah,
kind of,
but there's no change.
well, yeah, sorry.
Well, I guess $147. I guess we,
Well, no, there's really no change.
Motion on the drainage board,
if it was 21.
I second.
now it's
$147, and it has a change.
2,100.
Make a motion for drainage board.
Is there a second?
2247 is what was-
second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
2100?
We got
Got
it.
it.
Melissa.
I don't
We
know,
got
I
it,
put
Melissa.
21, they're getting the same
Motion
thing.
We
done.
got the drainage board done.
Cheryl
Nobody's
and
paid
Melissa.
attention.
They did a drainage board.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioners. So, just to clarify, because you mentioned it earlier, that all the unemployment comes out of the commissioner.
For anyone that's paid from the general fund, or that was paid from the general fund.
Very good. I want to understand.
And so, you know, that may be able to be decreased a little bit, but I wanted to advertise enough, and since we're asking for a transfer, we figured out what we were gonna need almost, there's that 30 that we asked for,
Yeah, so,
for the rest of the year, so we kind of,
should we ask the, or can you guys answer this, like on the postage, we got $150,000. Okay, that was my question.
And postage is going up.
yeah.
And the postage is going up, okay? And, telephone, we spent 52,000, and had 100 appropriated, and we got 100 again.
Yes,
Are we expecting a big phone bill?
You're halfway through the year.
2,000 is only for.
you're halfway through the year.
Okay, but that's why I was asking, so we spent half here, okay? Because I can't see the total up above, and I didn't know if that was your prior. or
Oh,
your-
sorry, that's,
No, that's
that's
all right. That's
expenditures
why-
this year, that's halfway through the year.
That's why I'm asking.
Your next big one is liability insurance, and I can tell you it did go up.
Does that include the cyber liability as well? Because cyber is,
No,
I'm assuming since we already had a claim.
Yeah, I know where you're going with
yeah, once you have a
IT.
claim, it gets even higher.
I know where you're going with IT. Is that what you're talking about when you talked IT yesterday? Yes. This does include all that, but yeah, there's a possibility it could increase if they don't get some things in place. Workers' comp that we pay.
Is the Hamilton donation, is that part of community development?
No,
Yeah, what is that?
You've moved way ahead of us.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was,
the Hamilton
I'm gonna
donation,
totally-
it's,
I'm looking at a different, this,
You're
not
fine.
that.
The
we
Hamilton
have a
donation's
requirement,
required.
and the state sets the rate.
Ah,
Yeah.
We don't have an option. I guess we could not do it, and then we could
And if you look back, whenever you go back to look at the sheets, when we start talking about the levy, you'll see that they add that back in. That's a, yeah, that's required.
they allow an adjustment.
Yeah. So liability claims, 150,000, that normally pays any, of course,
But I don't have that as. on-
No, it's
oh,
not.
That's liability insurance.
no, I'm just going through them.
Yeah, okay, I was thinking,
Been the same.
You have legal services now, back in here.
because
That's-
you're eliminating.
You eliminated some salary, and so that's the county attorney.
Yeah, I got a question on that. Why do we have two county attorneys?
well, it's a overlapping contract
This is a transition.
between Mike Wright there.
And how are they getting paid, how are they paying for a transition? Are they paying- do they come
Exorbitantly.
for appropriation?
One's payroll and one is contractual, and I don't know how they're, where they're paying. Do they transfer?
did
We
appropriate.
took so much out of
Before the council.
salaries.
Oh, just transfer salary, didn't say what it was for. I forgot.
What did you do,
I
Fran?
need that.
Can-
79, 70.
Can we possibly pause here for a second, because I did get a response back from Dr. Hoineke?
Yeah.
Do you want to hear? She said, currently, wait a minute, currently, we're moving a trailer, can I get back to you? Keith has 90 hours of comp time now. The problem is that FEMA does not pay comp time, and it's almost impossible to get the guys their time back. We do 24/7, 365 calls. Only highway and sheriff do that, and they have overtime budgets. I've asked for this for 7 years running. And then she asked if we were available for a phone call. So,
Well, that's just Keith is 90. She's not included Troy.
I have,
Oh, 150.
I have to get on, I'm 15 minutes late. Train.
Go ahead. Oh,
Is that okay?
yeah.
Well, so we did the reallocation.
Yeah, but, no, I can do it. I didn't know
70.
how, where they were.
79, 870, right there, into legal services.
Was that out of payroll then?
Yes, we took from what was allocated for the current county
I
attorney.
vaguely remember that. I kind of forgot it. They blocked it. That seems like that was forever ago.
Yeah.
Marie, go bag it up.
Okay, I'm just gonna go in the conference room. It's okay if I go in there and shut the door?
You having a seance or what's the deal?
Okay. Leave this.
I mean, the big changes in the commissioner budget are electricity, gas, water, oil, coal, solid waste, / sewage, which they have attributed all that to opening the new jail and having 2 concurrent operations. They've also asked for office furniture for a new comfy couch.
$320.
Might as well get work on it. I'd rather have.
Because they don't comfortable chair.
What did you decide about commissioner?
Okay, motion to.
I'm just seeing what.
We're gonna, on the,
Brenda, you wanna say that?
yeah, she is. We need a motion of the commissioner's budget.
Here's your chance, Brenda.
Big, it's really big.
Put you in the hot seat right then and there.
Okay, I'll move that we approve the 2s, 3s, and 4s for the commissioners' budget,
As requested.
as requested, yeah. Don't leave me
Did you say
hanging
can
there
I ask a
sometimes.
As
question or
re-
as requested?
As
Well,
No, I said as requested.
Hold on a second.
Are we change, are we, did we,
One quick thing. Okay, real quick.
one quick thing.
I can find it.
Time's up.
Do you know the
Order, there it is, 0068. Christmas lights, because I don't, the list that I have in here, Christmas lights are not on there because they put it in edit by, so yeah. It's not in edit anymore, but on these papers, it was in edit.
It wasn't it.
It
So,
was.
what I would suggest is you, if you want to have Christmas lights on the courthouse, then you
oh,
need to
that
add
that
it
needs to be
here.
added
I-
in there?
Well, yeah, I put
The
it, I
auditors
confirmed
should-
it with Tammy
Okay.
But,
and said, which did you mean? She said, I stuck it in edit by accident. It really belonged in.
You removed it from edit, right?
I did.
Yeah.
yeah,
But I called her
just wanna
before I
make
did.
sure that-
Okay.
Make sure that it's in there, that since this is what we're looking at.
Okay, I want to revise my motion then.
What,
that-
it's in there though, right?
No, No, it's
It
not
wasn't on
request-
Tammy's sheet.
It's not requested for 2022. Okay, I move that we approve the 2, 3s, and 4s for the Commissioner's Office, or Commissioner's Department, with the addition of $2,500 for the installation of Christmas lights.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Good catch, Calissa. Don't try to pull anything over.
I guess I didn't think about it, 'cause
That's
Tammy,
right.
Tammy okayed it before I put the budgets in, so, because I asked her.
Well,
She's
I
like, yeah,
just-
that's an error.
Well, I just knew
Yeah.
I found, I'm like, why are they asking for that edit? That's a place.
Yeah, that's what I was putting them in, and I was like,
Don't hold back out, don't
I don't think they meant,
I saw it on the.
Oh,
I don't think they
didn't know
meant
how
to do that.
Health and
Not
economic
on that
development.
other day,
Can't
that's
have
why.
been intended, yeah.
My thought was, if you're wanting to save money in the general fund, $2,500 is not it.
Yeah.
yeah, I called her, I'm like, you put those in edit. She goes, oh, no. You're planning.
Area planning,
There are savings, travel expenses,
Expenses.
education, housing, like,
Cannot wait to get out of town next year.
Well, they didn't use it at all last year, right? They had
Not.
50 appropriated, didn't use any, so they went 3,000. We need twice.
we're hoping to get back to learning.
Right.
Get
Yeah.
back to it.
And that online is helpful, but it isn't the same. Like,
It is not.
It's not.
you know, it's harder, yeah. So that's the only changes. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Motion.
move to area planning, 2, 3, and 4, as presented.
Excuse, second, swallowed my voice.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
IT, information service, the processing, whatever you call it.
IT, what we got?
okay.
No changes for them last year.
Insurance. Group insurance went down though, right?
But that's in,
That's why?
that's in the 100s.
Oh, that is.
Probably do one final quick thing with insurances again. One in the days in between if we're not meeting tomorrow.
Make motion to accept the informational services, 2, 3, and 4.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Aye. All right, motion carries. Here we go. Courthouse maintenance.
Wasn't there some discussion on courthouse maintenance that we had to move something around? By agreement at?
Maybe.
I don't
I
have
thought the
anything.
commissioner said something about courthouse maintenance, I guess.
No, well,
Well, maybe
Commissioner
that's when they
Morris
were
just,
trying to figure out how they were paying. That would be this current, but I have no change in their
We
budget.
had to
There's
pay
no
for bird and pest control for the courthouse
Yes.
in the city. They're birds.
county building.
They don't worry about birds. That's so,
They promote dystopian osmosis, therefore.
Yeah, don't
yeah,
start.
they
the-
do have another vehicle in there. I don't know if there's any
See that,
explanation for that.
26,000.
Yeah. They received one last year. I don't know if there's another. I think you're right. It was something like that today.
Okay.
They do, but they don't.
So that, where they could do snow, blah, blah, blah.
Who's
Yeah.
that?
The big honking vehicle they got from highway.
No, who's
snowplow, wasn't it?
Lee. Oh, Beck. They try
You
to
know,
buy
what is that?
locally here.
I don't
I will say that I will agree with Commissioner. It seems building maintenance seems to be the one that gets stuck with a lot of the
So what-
bills. And they do seem to be the problem department that comes and says, where do I pay this from? Or, I haven't been appropriated. So I'm just throwing that out there. They kind of are the department that gets stuck with what someone else doesn't have the
Stepchild.
appropriation for, or the commissioners just want them to do it and they tell them to do it.
And then you figure out how to pay.
And that's it. And
So
then,
if we wanna
then we
ask-
get the, can you help us figure out how to pay for it?
That doesn't answer the question about vehicles, though.
No, sorry,
Who
Todd.
would we ask if we had a question about it?
Would be
Tommy.
Tommy Roberts. He's the director, superintendent.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, they didn't come and present. Maybe we just put it.
I mean, I feel like they just said, submit the same thing we had last year.
I think they probably did.
And since they had 26,000 appropriated for a vehicle last year.
And they
this
spent
You did it
18,403. Well, this is one way to get attention, is I'd make a motion to approve the budget, Senate minus 2, 3, and 4 minus the vehicle.
Well, should we find out what they need it for?
I think we're going to tell them.
I text Tommy to ask him if there was really a request for another vehicle or. But we can zero it out now.
Because I think Brenda asked that question before, is what about somebody that doesn't even come in? I mean, I just don't automatically know. And I think a vehicle, that's the problem.
And they did not request what, is that what you just said?
It was just probably the same budget.
I don't have anything
Oh,
There's nothing to
explaining
explain
it.
it. There's no narrative.
You just give me what I have.
yep, I second that.
Okay. How about I take it out and then if he answers, you
Yeah.
want to talk to him, then you can go
Yeah,
from
we can
there.
always look
Yep.
adjusted.
We're gonna have time.
Uh, The G,
We gotta vote on it.
oh, sorry.
I seconded.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carried.
EIS.
Oh, yeah, there's no, it's all
Are you
salaries.
going to
Sure.
without a vehicle, right?
2, 3, 4 minus the $26,000.
Okay. Circuit Court.
Circuit Court.
Wearing apparel, that's like their robe and stuff. Take care. So there's the supplement to drug court, supplement to community corrections.
It's the only change I have.
Yeah. Supplement to work release for indigent is still there. Unemployed legal service, drug test, judge pro temp,
That was,
juries, logic. The law books, their law books are $5 for every judge. Yeah, there's no changes except for the change that was entered for the supplement to drug court and supplement to community corrections.
and those are ones that we rolled over to them. It wasn't something they requested, we just moved that out.
You just
of
moved
another
it out
budget.
and into
Our
their,
budget.
correct.
Yes, yeah. So if that's the case, then I would make a motion that we approve 2, 3, and 4s with the addition of supplement to drug court and supplement, moving, I can't.
Oh, sorry. Supplement to community corrections.
Yeah, okay, community correction, that, as presented.
I'm in a pickle because I don't know that I agree with moving those things to those. moving it out of our budget into theirs, but, so I'm not sure if I should second that.
Well, that, you don't have to, that is the beauty of it.
I don't think I will.
This one is the supplement. Which title are we in? All right.
Supplement to drug court, supplement, or the title
No, I
of the
meant the
fund?
title.
Circuit
Circuit
court.
Circuit
Court.
court.
Well, the thing about it is, it's not in our budget anymore, and so if it's not in their budget, it's not going to get budget. So it doesn't revert back, if we don't put it in this one, it's not in the council budget, it's approved council budget. So it could be in limbo. You know,
Well, I still don't feel comfortable.
No,
Okay.
that's fine, I just so they know, we know what we've got on that.
Okay, next.
So you're not approving any,
It died like a second.
Juvenile court. See, they've got miscellaneous for $10,000. They've got incentives, which is for like the juvenile or drug court, I think, what they're looking for. For the 1,500.
all their increases are due to the juvenile drug court. Got miscellaneous.
You probably need that.
How late are you guys comfortable with working?
Whatever you want to do.
Are you comatose?
Well,
Whatever you want to do
What's the,
tonight, I'm good with. I mean,
What's the, where are we in the scheme of things? I haven't seen, I
yeah,
don't know what the end.
well, you have, let's see, how many?
Seeing the light at the end of the
I
tunnel.
don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is if we still need
You don't
another
know.
half day, then we need a half day.
Well, we're not close to being done.
No, that's what I'm getting at, I didn't know
I
if
don't
we
know.
were
You
an
said-
hour from getting done, or 4 hours.
4 hours.
4 hours and just will nip it at some point, and not cause hardship on you guys.
You have about, I would say,
14, 15 apartments left.
yeah, I only got like about 12 or 13, something
They
like
kind
that.
of, part of it's by really
Yeah.
fast.
Well, I think we
So
still have
departments to
budgets
go
that we
through
sell.
in the general fund for 2s, 3s, and 4s, if you want to go through them.
Don't you, gun?
Yeah. I prefer that we recess it if we have that much time left on it. We still
Because he's
have
got a meeting to go
overall
to.
salaries too. And I talked to Marie, and she'll be back here, but she said too, is that she's gonna take a half. And I
We could
even
just clean it
wondered
up in half.
what
and it'll
maybe
be
our
done.
schedule might be like, if there would be a way that we could come in before our sunrise. Have to take before. Done too much.
Do you want to have a meeting at sunrise, or is this a sunshine?
It's
I'm
a
not coming
sunrise
in
before
before
the
sunrise.
sunshine. That's the big sunrise.
I like the sunrise.
Talking about like 7:15 a.m.
Every time I've seen it, it rises before she shines.
Yeah.
She's on the rising. I get daylight first.
You don't want to go through these 2s, 3s, and 4s, the rest of them?
He's got a meeting.
Well, they can wait.
I thought I scheduled that we'd be done at 3. So,
Well,
so I thought, well, if we stay over, that's why I said is if we could be done in an hour, one thing, we've done 4 hours.
Come back
4 hours.
Tuesday, I
I
guess.
wouldn't,
No, he's saying to finish. to
well,
get
finish the
everything.
whole thing,
Finish the
yeah.
whole-
But,
And you probably have more than 4 hours.
yeah, but 2s, 3s, and 4s, you really shouldn't have 4 hours. That would be,
But if that would work, and then we can get with Marie on the time too. She
we
did
can
the
just,
same
we
thing
can
as
come
me.
in
She-
early
Yeah,
on
you guys
Tuesday
can do
morning
that.
if you guys can do that. I mean, we could come in at, 8:30 on Tuesday morning? We'll throw them out.
And they have BZA again at 10. I don't know if they really have it, but it's on there.
Oh, you gotta be
They
there.
seemed to be agreeable last time that we did.
But
we gotta
Karen's
go
got
there.
it. They've got it.
What? You-
She said half a day wouldn't be a problem, so I don't know.
Does
I
she
don't
mean
speak
first
for-
half or last half?
She said she could do either
Oh.
on that. I did ask her that. And I was just, I just knew that we were gonna get.
Well, if she
back-
could take the second half, then she could stay through to the
Council.
council.
Yeah, so I mean, if we wanted to, and we can ask her noon or 1, but we could do that via email, right?
I was getting ready to send her a text, see if I could.
I know she's Zooming right now, that's where she's at. Or she had training, I guess. So, I mean.
Or maybe we could do, 12.
Day after Labor? Jeez, Todd, what are you thinking?
The day after Labor Day? It's not on Labor Day.
Well, we have to have this done by the council meeting, don't we?
No.
I pushed
Well, then
we
what
pushed
the
your
heck?
thing
Just
back.
trying to get it done, I didn't know, I'm just.
It's okay. I mean, the sooner the better, but
You mean on the 7th? They're talking about coming back the 7th?
Yeah.
Because that's a sunrise meeting.
anyway, Vicki, your
That was
adoption
sunset.
has been pushed back to October 12th. But, I mean, the
Okay.
sooner the better, but I'm
We
just
we ain't
saying,
gonna do no stinking sunrise
it
meeting
don't
then.
have to be, it don't have to be sunrise on Tuesday.
Okay.
Unless Todd's bringing breakfast.
I was gonna bring biscuits and drink.
You're
Ooh.
Homemade or like Hardee's? Because Hardee's is not very. Huh? One of the better? Yeah.
No, we're talking about Tuesday.
Who does?
Parties, that the guys where I work at Marathon, they say, if you stop at Sullivan, they have the best parties biscuits. They're likely better than Terre Haute or Bronx. So I drive out of my way to go to Sullivan.
You're so thoughtful.
Huh?
Are we talking Tuesday at 1?
He's just waiting on a few.
Oh, what,
It's
right.
12 or 1, whichever.
Okay, Marie says just not this week or the 16th or 17th. Right. So,
That's up
not,
to you guys.
not the rest of this week. And Monday is a holiday. Tuesday we have the council meeting. 8th, 9th, 10th. I mean,
Did
you
she
can come in.
specify only a half day?
No, she didn't, I don't know if she did or not.
We could
Oh,
do,
well.
Does
got
that
it.
work,
Okay,
she says.
yeah. Mornings taken. How long does the commissioners meeting usually last?
It was 8 minutes, this week.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, Mike showed up after the meeting.
if we do it in the afternoon to stay on for the Army.
Marie said either is fine. She would rather just commit to getting it done.
meeting of the Vigo County Budget Committee is in recess.
Until, you can't, if you put in recess, you
Until-
have to state a date that you're coming back. Otherwise, we have to re-advertise with 48-hour notice. But 48-hour notice should not be a problem since,
Until Tuesday, the 7th at 1 PM.